Hi, my name is Talisa, and I wanted to thank you for wanting to be a C.A.R.L volunteer. I'm going to go through a little bit about the process and what C.A.R.L is, what it is to be a volunteer, the different volunteer teams, and other ways that you can help besides in person at the kennel or at events. So a little bit about C.A.R.L. It is named Canine Adoption and Rescue League, C.A.R.L for short. It started in 1996, so it's been around for over 20 years. C.A.R.L is not a breed-specific rescue, so we rescue dogs from little tiny Chihuahuas to big Mastiffs. They are pulled from the Ventura County shelter as well as high kill shelters in LA and sometimes even other places. We've had dogs that have come from the Yule Meat Festival in China, and most recently, like Little Hero here at the bottom, has come from Israel. C.A.R.L is ran entirely by volunteers. The only place that you will find a paid employee will be those kennel workers at the shelter and boarding that we have in Santa Paula. So briefly, just going over the mission statement. Canine Adoption and Rescue League's mission is to advocate for animal welfare, seeking to end the needless deaths of companion animals through adoption, education, and outreach programs. And one thing I'd like to make note of is that once a dog is in the program, regardless of how many years it's been adopted out, C.A.R.L will gladly take the dog back into the program, no questions asked to the owners. If they need to, for whatever reason, relinquish the dog, they will gladly take it back in. Next, we will move on to the volunteer teams. You'll hear a little bit about each and then kind of decide which teams have your interest, and you will let me know. So you'll hear about the adoptions, community outreach, direct dog care, facility, thrift store, and volunteer teams. Starting off with the adoptions team. So every adoption event has a lead, a transporter, and a few other volunteers that help with the dogs, setting up and picking up once it's all done. Somebody, which is the transporter, will go pick up all the dogs at the kennel. Fosters, if they have agreed to it, will drop off the dogs at the events. So making sure that these dogs are still getting seen even though they're in foster homes. So everyone has to be 18 and older. You have to wear the appropriate clothing and footwear, which is obvious for safety. There are different adoption events all over the county, and every event, like I said earlier, has a lead. And leads, usually if it's your first time there, are glad to help you and teach you the ropes. So safety first is a big thing. Their appropriate collars and leashes for every dog has to be worn, just like at the kennel. There should be no kids anywhere near the dogs, and there should be a safe space between the dogs themselves. We just want to avoid any kind of injuries or conflicts that could possibly happen since the dogs are outside of their normal territory, so you don't really know how some act sometimes. Next up is the community outreach team. So a little bit about the outreach team. It's a lot of taking pictures and videos to really show off the dogs and showcase how great and cute they really are. There are different social media outlets. We have Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter right now, making marketing different displays, designing, distributing, stuff like that, especially for Pooch Parade. That's a big thing that we need help for. The newsletter and the blog also get done every week. Blog as frequently as we can get to it. And then obviously advertising the fundraisers and possibly getting grants. A couple other things that you can do are talking to different community groups, so like the Lions, Knights of Columbus, stuff like that, going out to schools, reaching out to them to get a little bit younger crowd coming in, and you'll see in a little bit where they'll be able to volunteer at. The direct dog care team. So this is what everybody thinks is the only option usually when you talk about volunteering at C.A.R.L or any sort of dog rescue, and that's physically handling the dog. So that's walking, bathing, anything like that. You have to be 18 or older. Once again, you have to wear the proper clothing just for safety. It really is the best way to get to know a dog. In order to handle the dogs, you must go through the handler orientation, and that has to be completed before you can walk any dog on your own. Once you get the feel for it down, you'll be able to participate in the daily walking that they have going on, pack walks like you see in the picture. You'll be able to help out with training, bathing the dogs, and play groups when they're available. Some other things you can do are transporting dogs to appointments, like grooming appointments or to vets. You can use your car, or you can use the C.A.R.L van that we have. And any sort of off-site trips that you want to do with certain dogs, like taking a dog to a park where it is kept on leash. You can never let the dog off leash on off sites. But at least just letting them get out and get off the grounds, get to be around different environments. Next is the facilities team. So with this, it's just keeping up the kennel grounds, making sure all of the runs are safe and everything's put together still, pulling weeds, landscaping, stuff like that, taking care of the vehicle, the van that we have there. Cleaning and organizing is a big thing just to help staff and everything run smoothly. You can assist in the kennel operations, which is doing dishes and laundry. And every once in a while, we will have cleanup days, which is everybody is that is available is just all hands in, and you are just making that place look spick and span and hitting the big things that we usually don't have time for when it's the everyday things that are taking over.
Up next is the boutique thrift store located in downtown Ventura. It is on the corner of Orchard and East Main Street. Volunteers are needed to receive donations, sort through them, make sure everything is in good condition and works, as well as price items and put it out on the sales floor. It is open Monday through Saturday from 11 a.m. to 4 p.m. with donations being collected up until 3:30. Joe is the manager there now, and that's who you need to speak with. Let him know you did the orientation, and he will see where you fit into their schedule and kind of work with you and see what he can get going. The boutique thrift store is important to the rescue because it is a great source of income for the dogs and the rescue. If we don't have enough volunteers to fill shifts, then they cut hours, and with that, you're losing money. So that's money that the dogs miss out on.
Up next is the volunteer team. So a little bit about the volunteer team. You get the weekly Wolf News every week, and that is Volunteer Know All. It tells you everything that's kind of going on in the upcoming week, different fundraisers, different ways to help out C.A.R.L, stuff like that. The volunteer team helps getting volunteers and keeping them volunteers. They hold the volunteer orientations, like so, or they do them on different sites. So Ventura Pet Barn, we have Hill Road Library in Ventura as well, and we recently started using Santa Paula Blanchard Library. Um, they help plan activities for volunteers to get together, usually around the holidays and like mid-year, just to keep everybody, happy, making sure everybody's doing good, sort of as a little reward for everybody. And also, if you have a Facebook, be sure to join the volunteer team Facebook group. I can give you the link to it, and then you can ask to join. So some other ways to help C.A.R.L. Fostering is a big thing. It helps, get to know dogs outside of the kennel. And obviously a home check needs to be done just as if the dog was being adopted. It's the same kind of home check, just making sure that the dog is going to be okay and it's a suitable house for them. And while the dog is with you, C.A.R.L pays for all expenses. We collect recyclables, cans, and bottles. All that goes back into facilities, making sure that everything is kind of kept up. You can donate and also shop at the thrift store. Sponsoring a dog, it's about $300 a month for every dog that is at the kennel. You can shop on Amazon Smile or check our Amazon wish list to see what items are high priority or what we kind of need around the kennel. And also there is an app called Wolf Tracks that you can download on your phone. And what you do is every time you go for a walk, you don't even need a dog. You just set up an account. You select C.A.R.L as your charity that you would like to be walking for. And every time you go for a walk, even if it's a mile, half a mile, every time a walk is tracked on there, it's a better chance for C.A.R.L to win some money. So I think a couple months ago we won maybe $300 or so, and it's just free money for us, and it's a way to help pay off some of the expenses that we have going on. So where does the money go? This is a big question that a lot of people ask. So like I said on the slide before, roughly it's about $10 a day for each dog to be at the kennel. So that's food, the space, and the staff to take care of them. Dogs are taken to the vet, so they're up to date on shots, spayed and neutered, and any additional health problems that come up get addressed right away, which is a great thing. Some dogs require more medical attention than others, mostly seniors, or some of the dogs that come into us, people can't afford to pay for the vet expenses. So C.A.R.L will take the dog in and gladly take over any sort of health issues that they have and get them happy and healthy and into a new home. So the dogs are kept at the kennel or sanctuary that is on 901 Mission Rock Road in Santa Paula. When you volunteer, we ask that you park down the street at the pickup park and walk. So these parking spaces are open for customers that are paying for their dogs to be at the kennels. And it's not that far of a walk. It's maybe half a mile or so. So what is next now? So you'll choose your team. You'll email the correct lead. I will send you all their information. I will let them know that you are interested. You'll be able to get the weekly with news where you'll be able to see updates and different volunteer opportunities. Sometimes leads will put on there that they need help at certain adoption events or kind of outreach events that they have signed up for. Join the C.A.R.L volunteer page, like I said, on Facebook if you do have a Facebook account. Be sure to follow us on Facebook and Instagram. It kind of keeps you up to date with dogs, stuff like that. And then if you are interested in direct dog care, you'll need to schedule a orientation with a handler. So they will get back to you when somebody is available that kind of fits your schedule. And this is necessary in order to walk and interact with any of the dogs. So let's talk about the volunteer webpage. So if you visit our website, carldogs.org, you can see volunteers on one of the tabs. Let that drop down and click on current volunteers. There will give you an option to log volunteer hours, and that is what you need to click on. If you're doing anything other than walking dogs, or you are not working on facilities, because you can also sign in facilities while you're there. There is a sheet at the volunteer station when you are at the kennel. You will, while you walk dogs or take pictures, anything that you can do there, you'll just sign in on that during normal volunteer hours. Otherwise, if you forget, just log the hours on there, and they're very important. They help us get grants and show how many volunteers we actually have out there putting in their, spare time and working hard for these dogs. We also ask that you review the C.A.R.L Code of Conduct on this website as well. Just kind of gives you a brief overview of how and what we expect while you're representing C.A.R.L. And we also have C.A.R.L volunteer shirts that are $10, and they can be purchased by letting staff or somebody know, possibly your handler, which is going to be one of the leads when you do your handler orientation if you decide to do that. Always check our website and the Facebook or Instagram to see kind of what's happening. Sometimes we have an apparel sale, and that's a fundraiser for the dogs, and you can purchase any of those shirts as well, and you can wear those instead of just the basic C.A.R.L one. There's also sweatshirts, long sleeve shirts. There are little aprons that volunteers use to put treats in, stuff like that. I believe there's hats as well. So you've reached the end of the orientation. I have put a list of the volunteer teams here for you. Go ahead and make note of which ones you think are going to be a best fit for your talents or which ones you're interested in, and let me know, and I will send out the information for all of the leads, and you can contact them, and I will also let them know that you will be in touch with them as well. Thanks for listening. Have a good one.